Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and this is day 2 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and focusing on doing things that I've been avoiding. So, yay for day 2. Um, so yeah, avoiding is something that I feel like is maybe the only habit that I have for like my entire life. I'm like a pro at avoiding things, and I don't realize how much I avoid things. I don't think I've paid attention to how much I avoided things until I decided I was going to try to face the things that I've been avoiding. There's too many things that I've been avoiding. Sometimes I think I won't get through all of them in 100 days. Right now, it feels like I won't get through all of them in 100 days because there's a lot. I was letting myself cry today, which I don't normally like to do. So, feeling emotions, dealing with emotions. And it occurred to me that I have this grief book that I've been started like 3 times and never got all the way through because I'm just avoiding having to feel all of the emotions and feelings to get through that book. And so, honestly, I think even if I do that book multiple times, there's multiple sections and multiple chapters. So, until I actually get through the whole thing, I'm still avoiding it. And I realized when I was crying today, I was like, oh, I need to do my grief work too. I'm like, let's just add that to my list of things that I'm avoiding and I need to start facing. So that's not the thing that I was gonna say that I chose to face today. So today I finally chose to write in my journal. I don't know why I avoid writing in my journal. Writing in my journal is an excellent thing for me. Writing in my journal is how I process my emotions. It's how I process my day. It's how I put things into perspective so that I can kind of understand how I'm feeling, why I'm feeling a certain way, why I reacted a certain way, if I owe amends to people, if I was right and other people were wrong, if or just it helps me to figure out who's responsible for what in situations in my day. It doesn't have to be good or bad, it's just in my day. I don't think my brain fully processes information. I think it's really slow. It collects everything in my head. Trust me, I collect a whole lot of information, but I don't seem to know what to do with all of the information that's in my head. So it kind of floats around until it's like, oh, hits a light bulb, and I'm like, oh, I understand this now. I don't know where that came from, randomly out of nowhere. But when I write in my journal and I try to process my day, sometimes I do it backwards, sometimes I start in the middle, sometimes I jump around in the middle of it. Like I'll be like, I'm writing about this part of my day, the beginning of my day, and it goes to the middle of the day, to the end of my day, and then back to the beginning again. Just depends on what I'm writing and what emotions it brings up and what things I feel like I need to process. And it also helps me to remember to write about things that I'm grateful for and to recognize God's hand in my life and how things have gone way better than I thought they would have, or to see that things are better in my life than I feel like they are sometimes. And it reminds me that feelings aren't facts. And just because I feel a certain way doesn't mean that I'm being attacked. It doesn't mean that my life is falling apart. It doesn't mean that there's no hope left. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that things are as terrible and awful as I feel like they are in the moment. Um, and I'm sure vice versa of things that are really good. But if it was really good, I wouldn't be complaining. I'd be like, yes, it's this awesome. But it reminds me I don't really have things to complain about. And it helps me to just let go of the things that I don't need to let go of. And I heard somebody say something today, and um, it kind of struck a chord with me. And I wrote about it in my journal, and it just kind of helped again to have a little bit of a different perspective because I was inspired by this person's perspective. And even though I'm not choosing to do the same thing that person did, it kind of gave me an idea, a way to look at myself and my life and my choices differently. And in which case today I feel like I made a little tiny choice, which was to process things today, to to respond to things differently today, to actually, you know, choose to try to deal with things instead of trying to run away from things, which is my normal thing for today. So, not entirely avoiding my emotions today was huge for me. It was just a different response that I chose to have. And I was able to journal about it and be like, okay, still didn't make my emotions go away. In fact, I basically started the first 2 sentences, or first whole sentences, listing all of the emotions that I'm having, and there's way too many of them. and they're all tied up in one. But then it helped me to just continue to process and recognize what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling that way and what things are triggering things in my life right now and where I'm at in my life. And some things are in upheaval and changing because I will be getting a roommate and I have to go through all of the things in my house and I have to rearrange things and organize things and do things differently. And I'm excited because those are good positive things, but I'm not because it's kind of overwhelming, all the things that have to be moved and rearranged, and because I will be giving up a lot of my free space. And now I will have to share space, which I haven't had to do for several years. So it's going to be a huge change. Um, and even though it's a change that I initiated because I invited my friend to move in with me, it's not, and I'm excited about that part of it. I'm just not thrilled about the having to move all of my stuff and making all of the personal changes. And it's like, yeah, but I need to make them. And it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's just not necessarily what I want to do or what I feel ready to do. And then there's just, other things in my life that I don't like and I need to change. And I'm realizing that I can gripe and complain all I want, but until I actually face them, until I actually do them, it's not going to change. I have to do something about it. I have to respond differently. I have to do something differently. And so today I did that. I responded to a job offer. It's a temp job, but it'll be a change. Um, don't know if I'll get it or not. And no idea what's going to happen with any of that at this point. Not sure that it matters so much because I feel like a lot of my problems are based on my attitude and my not willing to face things in my life. And I think the more that I face things and I do those things, that God will bring other things into play. And I will, again, like I said, realize how much better things are in my life. And it will help put things into their proper place and perspective. And writing in my journal does that for me. It helps me to see God's hand in my life. It helps me to put things into their proper perspective. It helps me to see when I'm overreacting to situations and I'm making mountains out of molehills. It helps me to recognize the gifts and the blessings and the nice things that other people were trying to do for me that I didn't see in the moment. Or it helps me to recognize that I'm triggered by something and then I can process whatever that is and deal with whatever that emotion is. And then it's not sitting and stewing inside of me anymore and I can let it go. So journaling does all of that for me. And it again shows me the things that I can be grateful for and helps me to feel good about myself and the choices that I'm making, or it helps me to see that I'm not making the best of choices. And if I don't want to keep writing about all the mistakes I'm making, then maybe it's time I start making some changes. And it kind of gives me some goals or directions into what to do as far as changes go. And sometimes it's just a whole bunch of me just griping and complaining. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, oh, I feel so much better. And now I've got all that off my chest. And now my brain will shut off and I can actually sleep instead of replaying whatever happened today. Good, bad, ugly, crazy, spontaneous, fun, whatever it was. I can let it go because I wrote about it. So, and now I'm making videos that I can ramble about it. So, doing a lot of rambling too. So, yeah, like I said, I just had an emotional roller coaster of a day, but I chose to respond differently and I chose to journal about it tonight. And that was one of the things that I've been avoiding. And after everything that happened today, that thought just kept playing in my head that I just need to journal about it because I need to let it go. I need to journal about it because I need to let it go. And I also think that part of the reason I'm struggling to lose weight and I'm struggling to move forward with my life is because I'm not journaling. And that means I'm holding on to everything and I'm not processing everything because, like I said, my brain just gets way too much information and my emotions are all over the place. And if I don't journal, if I don't process them, then they kind of just get stored and they're like, we don't know what to do with all of this. And it just kind of builds up in me. And then it's like, we don't know where to go. It just kind of builds up. And then people add more stuff to me. And then I get overwhelmed and I'm just like, and then I freak out and I overreact because it all has to go somewhere. But it doesn't all have to go somewhere if I take the time to journal, if I take the time to process it. And I don't like taking the time to process it. And sometimes I think I'm too tired, or I'm too busy, or I'm too this, or I'm too that. And honestly, I think I was falling asleep when I started to journal. And then once I was done journaling, I'm like, oh, now I have a burst of energy. Now I feel better. Now I can put air in my exercise ball that I'm sitting on while I'm making my videos. And I can make my videos, and I should really be in bed asleep right now. But it's like I let go of stuff, and I feel just that little bit lighter. I feel just that little bit better because I did something. And God is blessing me for that. I feel like God is blessing me for that. And I am truly grateful for that, and grateful that I'm choosing to make these videos, as hard as this is for me to have to face things and to respond to things differently and to deal with stuff I just don't want to deal with. Um, I know everybody has stuff in life they just don't want to deal with. And like I said, I'm the queen of avoiding things. I'm a pro at it. But I'm going to try to learn to not do that, because it's just, like I said, it just builds up in my system, and then it explodes. And then I feel guilty and I feel bad because I just exploded on people or on myself. And um, it's not good. Or it implodes, and all just kind of internally goes, and I just end up shutting down, and I'm like frozen, and I can't move, and I can't do anything, and I can't function because there's just too much going on inside, because I haven't taken the time to process it. So I'm probably going to just do some verbal processing in my videos, and I will do some more journaling. And hopefully, as I continue to do that, that is one more thing that I can face and do. And I know I may not do it consistently like I need to. It will probably pop up again on my things that I'm avoiding, because anytime my life gets out of control, I revert back to my childhood ways where I just avoid and I shut down and I hide. And that's not been beneficial for me for the last several months. In fact, I've just continued to feel worse and worse and worse. And I'm like, done less and less and less. And I'm like, I can't do this. And now I'm in a situation where everything's changing, and I have to be present, and I have to get up, and I have to do. And I was like, I don't have the energy. I can't function. And God is just telling me, well, do your videos. Okay, fine. I'll do my videos. And it's like, oh, yeah, because I'm holding on to everything. By journaling, I can process that. I can see that. I can share that. So, one of many things that I have been avoiding. So, we'll see what happens as I try to find other things that I have been avoiding that I think will just take that weight off, just chip at it, just one little bit at a time. And even if it's not like my physical weight falling off, it's that emotional weight, that feeling of being overwhelmed will just get a little bit lighter and lighter, and I will hopefully start to feel like I can function, and that I can do things, and that I can have energy again, and that I don't feel like everything is just falling apart, or it's too much every time there's one little thing that gets added to my life. So I am grateful to be willing to make these videos again, grateful to be facing things that I don't particularly like to do, um, that I'm really good at avoiding. And hopefully, I can continue to find the positive and feel a little bit of relief for everything that I face that I have been avoiding. So, that is my long, crazy ramblings for one little thing that I did today. But I think it's little things that add up, and they can either be the little things that add up to make things easier and better, and to become like, great performers, like people that write or perform or have amazing talents. It's because they practice little bit at a time, little chunks at a time, and slowly get better and better and better. Or it's the reverse, where it's just, every little thing piles up, and it just gets heavier and heavier, and I just get weighed down more and more and more and more depressed and isolated, and just get to the point where I can't function. And I don't want to get to the point where I really can't function. I want to get to the point where I can function, and where things feel a lot lighter and better. So I guess it's just a choice of how I choose to respond to things and what I choose to do. And I know I struggle with that. That's a very fine balance. It's a very fine line. And some things can be really good and really positive, and some things not so much. And some things are kind of in that gray area. It just depends on how you use it, because it can be good or bad. Um, it's just what you do with it. And so I'm learning very slowly. I'm a very slow learner. Like I said, I have too much rolling around in my head and too many things to process, and some of it just doesn't quite register immediately the way that I want it to, or it resonates on different levels. So it has to click and then it has to resonate to every part of my being for it to just kind of sink in. And I go in spurts where I'm like, I'm doing really good. And then I freak out because I'm doing really good. And I shut down. And then it's like, I go backwards. So hopefully this time I will not freak out and I will be grateful to keep going forward and see what new things God has in store for me. So that is the goal anyway. Thanks for listening to me and my ramblings. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude and maybe find something to do that you've been avoiding today.